It's here, folks. Finally, years in the making. Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, the social media fight of the century. I'm Dan Canobbio. He is former world champion Chris Algieri. I honestly can't believe this fight's here. Like, I'm pinching myself because I don't want to say I was leading the charge, but I was the one every single time either of these guys fought. I was like, if they don't fight next, then boxing has failed. And my mentions were like, they're never going to fight. Ryan Garcia is going to pull out. His pull-out game is strong. Tank don't want it. Tank is with Mayweather. He'll never fight anyone good. Guess what? It's here.
Well,
Fight week is here, and we're getting Gervonta Davis, and we're getting Ryan Garcia in the ring.
You're gaining optimism. So, like, you know, you stuck through it. You know, you stuck to it. You and I had a bet that I said it wasn't going to happen.
You owe me a beer.
I owe you a beer, but we're going to be in Vegas for the fight anyway, so I'll get you. I'm sure.
We're in Vegas by the time you watch this.
On number, yeah.
That's how it's crazy how that all works.
Fight week, yeah. So the fight's here. It's an awesome fight, and you mentioned it's like the social media fight of the century. But listen, they're both good fighters. This is not like a YouTube fight. It's a real fight with major implications for a very, very stacked division, which is the lightweight division, 135. So yeah, I mean, it's two young guys fighting in their prime. Both guys undefeated. Both putting everything on the line. The risk is huge for both.
Huge risk.
Reward is huge for both.
Yep.
I think the winner here becomes a legitimate superstar, potentially a crossover superstar that transcends boxing even beyond that. I mean, this is exactly what boxing needs.
Yeah.
And I think that the powers that be are doing a good job of utilizing the era that we're in. We're in the social media era. You've got these two hyper-popular guys who put butts in seats, put them against each other. And they're in their mid-20s?
What a mind-blowing...
I know, right?
What a crazy thing to do. Put the two most popular fighters in the same weight class in the ring with each other. But I'm glad you brought up
in
the
their
YouTube...
primes.
In their primes. I'm glad you brought up the YouTube thing because I've been on the record saying this for a while now. Like, I enjoy certain YouTube fights. I enjoy Jake Paul fights because I think the build-ups are fun. I think he does a really good job of marketing himself, marketing his opponent. His social media content, his own personal content is great. And by the time you get to the fight night, the arena is buzzing, the crowd is lit, young fans in there. But when that first bell rings, the fight sucks. Everything is great besides the actual fight.
So, but also except for the last fight, obviously against Tommy Fury, but he closes the show too, though. He scores some crazy.
Yeah, he's clutch.
So it's terrible boxing until there's
a fencing match, and then there's a viral KO.
Then there's a viral KO.
But exactly. my point being, this one I think is going to have all those ingredients that I just mentioned, like a big build-up. Two guys that are very popular outside of boxing. The fight night on fight night, the arena is going to be ready to explode, and then it's going to be a really good fight. Because their styles just match up perfectly. You got aggressive Ryan Garcia, who's coming forward for a knockout, and you got Tank, who's the best counterpuncher in boxing, or one of the best counterpunchers in boxing, who also goes for knockouts. It's just like the tension in that arena when that first bell rings, and then leading up to that first big shot, it's gonna be palpable, and I freaking can't wait.
I'm gonna push back on.
Oh
I'm
God!
I'm gonna push back.
Ruin my day.
Yeah,
Algieri.
I'm going to ruin a lot of people's days when they hear this. This has the potential to be a stinker, unfortunately. Just because of the style matchup, the size difference. Tank, we know, is very inactive. Does not throw a lot of punches.
In the ring.
In the ring.
But he's pretty active. He fights. He's fought in January already. 2 fights.
No. I know
what you're saying.
I mean, in terms of punches. Volume of punches, right? But you have great stats on that. Anyway. He's going to be stalking. He tries to close the distance. He's got a guy who's way taller than him that he has to get down, which he's used to doing. But that's going to slow the impact down. I mean, the volleys right off the bat. But then also you got Ryan, and Ryan is tall. Doesn't throw a ton of punches either.
No, he doesn't.
He does not throw a ton of punches. Yeah, so
neither one of these
range. Guys are very right. Neither guys are very busy. But guess what? They are both knockout punchers. What happens when two knockout punchers fight each other? They throw even less because they're going to leave less openings. So you got two guys who don't throw a lot of punches who are going to be wary of each other's power.
You kind of sold me a little bit on it kind of being a stinker because a lot of Gervonta Davis fights are that. He's walking the ultimate tightrope. It's a style that a trainer would never teach a fighter. It is low volume, high accuracy, game-changing power. Not everyone can do it. Listen to this stat right here. It's nuts.
I don't think anybody can do it except for him.
Well, Jamel Charlo kind of does it. Canelo Alvarez kind of does it. But Canelo's not knocking guys out at the same rate that Gervonta is right now. He's younger, Gervonta. So listen to this stat right here. Gervonta Davis throws 34.7 punches per round. That's the lowest in all of boxing, every weight class. But he has a 93% knockout rate, which ranks third in the sport. That is a mind-blowing stat. That's Gervonta Davis to a T. It's walking that tightrope, setting traps, and then always coming up with the knockout. It could have come back to haunt him. Maybe not in this fight, but I do think it's going to come back to haunt. It comes back to haunt all these guys.
Yeah, eventually it will. I mean, he's either going to go to weight class too high, he's going to have that guy whose chin is too good, or is just slick enough. And because he falls behind in all these fights score-wise, too. He falls behind the scores.
So does Canelo to a certain extent.
But he believes in his power. Yeah, we saw that a few
Billy
times.
Joe Saunders, some people had him down.
I didn't. I was there. I mean,
but he makes
Kovalev,
it close.
Kovalev was
Absolutely,
he was
that's
very,
the fight.
very close.
The fights are close. Like, they're closer than they should be.
Yeah.
Until the knockout comes.
But it's similar to Canelo. You see Davis on his face. There's no worry. He's not like, oh, I'm behind the 8 ball. I gotta get to him.
A stud.
Canelo's the same way. Canelo is cool, calm, and collected, methodically breaking his guy down, seeing things. He's kind of seeing ahead. That anticipation, that understanding of where the fight's going. It's chess.
Yep.
These guys are playing chess. So yeah, can you run out of time? Absolutely. But does that happen in this fight? I don't know.
Well, we talked about he doesn't show physical pressure on his face, Tank. But I do believe all the pressure is on him to win this fight.
Oh yeah.
Like, Ryan Garcia is not supposed to win. He's not on the same level as Tank Davis. He's using that as fuel. Like Ryan Garcia, it's a chip on his shoulder. Tank's the one that has to knock him out.
Yeah, multiple times.
There is a lot of pressure on the side of Tank Davis in this fight.
100%. I mean, this is something that people forget because Ryan Garcia is famous. He's not a world champion. He's never been a world champion. He beat a world champion, a former world champion in Luke Campbell. But, you generally don't get famous before you're a world champion.
I kind of like that he's not.
Ryan's done that.
I don't know. I kind of like it. It's a changing of the schism of boxing.
Oh, I don't care. I'm just saying in terms of what you're saying in terms of Gervonta, like how much pressure there is. He's a multiple-time world champion, a couple divisions now.
A couple Reggie belts though.
Yeah, but whatever. He
beat Pedraza when Pedraza was still in his prime, and he won a legitimate world title.
And stopped him, which is super impressive. Some of the guys, sure, they were in the wrong weight class, whatever, but he still jumped up to 40 and knocked out Barrios. That was really impressive. Barrios, who's now fighting at 47 and doing well. So you're right. I think there's definitely way more to lose for Tank. But that being said, I mean, even with a loss, I don't think it's the end for him at all. There's a lot for him to do, and especially weight class wise, because I don't think Ryan's going to stay at 35.
No, I mean, we want to talk about the hydration clause?
Yeah, we should. Yeah, we got to.
That is an interesting stipulation in this, and Ryan Garcia has said, I don't know why I shouldn't have even accepted it, but that just shows you that he was willing to do anything to take this fight. There is a rehydration clause of 10 pounds. So the fight's at 136, which is already underneath Ryan Garcia should be fighting at. So on the next day, after the weigh-in, Ryan Garcia can't gain any more than 10 pounds. So
146.
So he's going to be in the ring at 146, where he says usually he's around 150, 151, around there when he's fighting his last couple fights, maybe even more. How big of an issue, or how big will this come into play?
I thought it was an issue that they were fighting at 36, because that shows me that 35 is a problem, and 1 + 1 pound is not that big of an asset or of a positive for Ryan Garcia. So that showed me that there is some concern about the weight. So fighting at 36 was my number one concern. Now with the rehydration clause, that's another concern. And the issue with that is, sure, you probably, is it walking in the ring? What is or the morning of?
I think it's the morning of.
It's usually the morning of. Okay, so that's how it is for the IBF. You got to plus 10 pounds fight day, and it's the morning of. Which, listen, guys make weight. They weigh in, then they go eat. They gain weight. He's going to be heavier than 146.
But he's going to have to potentially, say he eats like a huge meal.
So that was.
And he comes in over the next morning. He's going to lose weight again.
You got to work out in the morning.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that is the issue that I think, but also on top of that, it's the mindset. It's like, I got to be careful what I eat now. I'm still making weight basically because he's way bigger than 146. Yeah. So he's going to have to still restrict himself after he's made the 136, which is not going to be easy. And he's got to be careful with his hydration getting up to that point. 10 pounds, that's water. And then you put food on top of it, and then forget it. He's looking, I would say, like you said, he comes in the ring 50-51. Fighters always lie about that. he comes in more than that. He's bigger than that. He's a very big lightweight.
Yeah, it's a big fight. It's a huge fight. It's the rare under 30-year-old mega fight, which we saw a lot in the 80s, saw a little bit in the 90s. Boxing really got away from it. It's like almost in a way the anti-Mayweather-Pacquiao, even though Mayweather-Pacquiao was a much bigger fight because at the time you could make the case that obviously Mayweather was pound for pound number one. Pacquiao was still in the top 4 or 5. None of these guys are on pound for pound list, but it's still a big fight. There was a lot of discussion. Is this a mega fight? I don't think so. Like, they're not. It's not for a world title. Neither of the guys is the best in their division. Arguably, if you think Haney or who's better, Haney or Davis. I think it's a mega fight. I mean, this fight sold out in seconds. It's got so much buzz around it, and I also think it's the start of all these guys fighting each other.
I mean,
hopefully.
Let's hope. Yeah, let's hope.
Hopefully we see Haney fight Shakur Stevenson. Hopefully we see Shakur get in here and fight one of the winners of this. Hopefully we see some of those baby kings or whatever we're calling them all start to fight each other, because I never thought that out of all the 4 of them, these would be the first 2 that were going to fight each other.
No, not at all. I thought the risk was way too big. I didn't think that they would want to risk Ryan Garcia this early on, but hey, they're going for it. And this is something that I say in this show all the time. It's like, these fights happen because these fighters want them. They're not letting those very easy obstructions to get in the way and block these fights from happening. These fighters are pushing hard. They're pushing their promoters, who potentially don't want to do it. They don't want to mess up their money. But listen, the fighter's like, I'm the fighter. I want to fight. Make this fight happen.
Yeah.
How do we do it?
I talked to Steven Espinosa, and he said there were a lot of obstacles. There were numerous times where this fight could have easily, both guys could have went a separate way.
Yep. But
they both really wanted it. So shout out to both fighters, shout out to the networks, all playing nice, finally realizing, like, this is a fight we want to see. It's the perfect timing for it. So how does Ryan Garcia win this fight? We talk a lot about Tank. We know Tank's style. He's been more active inside of the ring, taking fights. Haven't really seen much of Ryan Garcia since 2020. How does he beat Tank and pull off this massive upset?
So Ryan's obviously the bigger man. And I think in terms of one-punch power, Ryan's probably got the edge.
You think so?
I think he is a one-punch guy. He can starch a guy with one punch, and he did it to Luke Campbell with a body shot. It was a single shot. So yeah, it's different. Tank is more of an attrition guy, beats you up, breaks you down, gets you out of there. Great knockout percentage, of course. Definitely has a tremendous power.
He wears you down.
He wears you down. Ryan's not like that, but Ryan's surprising because a lot of his power comes from his speed.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a legitimate puncher, Ryan Garcia. I'm a big fan of Ryan. I wish he jabbed more like as a weapon instead of a rangefinder.
He'll tell you he jabs.
Right. I mean, he does. He uses it as a rangefinder, and then he hooks off of it,
right,
which I think will be actually a good weapon against the shorter Tank, especially as Tank's trying to move his way in. If he employs a kind of Mike Tyson-esque kick-tock style to get in,
yeah,
there's an option for Ryan to use his great timing and distance to time that with a left hook. He hurts Tank early. We got to fight.
Oh, my God. I want to see that.
We got to fight. If he's able to put hands on Tank early and he actually gets a reaction out of him,
yeah,
whoo, we got to fight.
I think it's going to be a classic. I really do. I think both these guys are running towards the spotlight. They're going to step up, and I think we're going to have ourselves a classic.
This is going to be an edge of your seat type fight. Like, we're literally. I think it's going to start very slow. I think it's going to start like everyone. They're going to really tiptoe, and you're going to be just gritting your teeth waiting for it. But when it hits, when something happens, I think it's just
who's going to get who first? Do you think Ryan will land something early?
I believe it's going to be Ryan first. Yeah, I think the speed and the length. And he's got a great judge of distance. So with the shorter man like Tank coming in, I think that it's going to be that. And then
Tank says he's a one-dimensional fighter.
That Ryan is?
Yeah. You got no jab. You got no. All you have is a hook.
We can't say that yet because we haven't seen enough from Ryan against top guys. A lot of times guys fight that they elevate, and we saw that against Luke Campbell.
He was down early and he got up.
Down early, made a mistake early, pulled straight back and got hit with a shot. By a southpaw, by the way. But Luke is a very good fighter. Granted, that was his last fight. It was in the tail end of his career. Definitely in the twilight of his career. Still, very, very solid fighter who's been in there with the best in the world. And Ryan just walked him down and beat him up. I mean, just to see him be hurt, legitimately hurt, and then get up and go after him was really, really important for me to see. That he's got that dog in him, and he's there to fight.
It's just crazy that he's only had 2 fights since then.
That's another big
Emmanuel
concern.
to go, and then
another big concern I have.
The fight that he had most recently at Staples, was it Gesta? No, it was Fortuna.
So he was supposed to fight Mercito Hesta.
Yeah, it was Fortuna.
And he turned it down
Yeah.
in order for, which is another red flag. A lot of red flags around Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, I mean, it is. He has a lot of talent, but he also has a lot of red flags around him. He has all the talent in the world, but you could poke holes in his game. You could poke holes in some of the decisions he's made. You can't poke holes in the fact that he's taken on a huge challenge, but it's no doubt.
Tip my hat to that.
Yep, there's no doubt that Tank has more momentum heading into this fight. Just fought Hector Garcia, who was a champion at 130, and he beat him in a lot of different ways, showing him a lot of different wrinkles. Let's go with the matchup, though, head-to-head. You got your 4 criterias. Let's hear it.
Yep, so our 4 criteria, we have power, we have chin, we have speed, and we have boxing IQ. Power. This is a very contentious category for these two. Both guys hit hard. Both guys have very high knockout percentages. And I had said earlier in the show, just now, I think that Ryan is more of a one-punch knockout guy. But when we're talking about power, it's ultimately going to be like, who's going to get the stoppage, who can do the damage. And I'm going to lean towards Tank.
Yeah.
Because Tank's ability to hit is two-fisted.
Yep.
It's to the head and to the body, and it's consistent. And just like we said earlier about him, that seek and destroy mentality,
Yep.
He fights to knock you out. Ryan says he does too, and I agree he does. But
Tank has just showed it more.
Tank has just showed it more consistent.
Yeah.
More consistent power. Chin, easy, Davis.
Yeah.
You know, the guy walks through hell in all of his fights. He gets hit. He doesn't mind getting hit. He'll take shots to give shots because he believes in his power that much. But you got to believe in your chin too, if you're going to fight that way. And obviously he does. And his chin hasn't even been checked. We haven't really seen him hurt. We've seen him hit big shots. He's fought guys as high as 140 pounds, which is wild. He's a small guy.
Tiny.
Ryan, we saw get dropped pretty badly by Luke Campbell. Got up and fought back. And we do talk, with Chin a lot about not just being able to take a shot, but also durability, recoverability. Ryan's got that, but you got to go with Davis with this just based on the history. Speed, Ryan Garcia. I think he's one of the fastest fighters in the game today. The way that he unloads that left hook off of his pawing jab, I mean, the thing is lightning. And it's not reckless speed. Some guys are too fast for their own good, and they let Amir Khan.
Yeah.
People always say Amir Khan had a bad chin. I don't agree with that. I just think he got hit really clean, and you can't get hit that clean at high levels because guys are just hit too hard. He was reckless with his speed. He was so fast he would get over his skis, so to speak, and run into shots.
Right.
Ryan doesn't fight like that. Ryan kind of fights off his back foot at times and whips that hook. So in his range and his distance is beautiful. His speed is incredible. Last one.
Ring IQ. Tank is smart in there. Ryan sets up his shots.
Yep. Both guys I think are pretty savvy in the boxing ring. But based on what we were saying earlier about Tank in terms of his kind of playing chess, thinking ahead, walking guys into things, I got to go with Tank on this one. I was originally thinking Ryan, and I was going back and forth on it. Then you kind of swayed me a little bit into some things that you brought up, made me think differently. And yeah, I think based on how Tank fights and the fact that he gets guys late means that he's setting things up.
Yeah, he's underrated, man. He's a very underrated boxer. A lot of guys don't give him credit for what he does in there as a complete boxer. Power connect rate is really high. Really good defense. Can jab if he has to. I feel like everyone just kind of looks at Tank as like a knockout guy only, and when you think of a knockout guy, you think of a brawler.
But also he does get hit clean too, so you kind of think like, but he lets himself get hit to land his shots. I think of the Santa Cruz fight. Santa Cruz threw the same punch off the ropes 3 times, and Tank saw it, analyzed that data, and was like, okay, shoot.
Everything
bang.
Tank does in there is calculated.
Yeah.
That's why I think Ryan Garcia is going to have a really tough night. Prediction time. I love Ryan Garcia. Consider him a friend. This is going to be a really tough fight for him. I think Tank is just trending in a better direction than him. Mm-hmm. I think late stoppage. I think he's going to catch him in like 8th or 9th round, like a vintage Tank performance. Slow early. Ryan may catch him a few times, but he's going to run into something. Tank is probably going to knock him out late.
Just on paper, just comparing the two fighters, if you asked me, I would go with Ryan. But the weight thing bothers me.
Yep.
The 36. Why 36? Why not 35? The rehydration clause, and the turning down of that last tune-up fight. Those 3 factors really swayed me.
Well, he had to turn it down. Gervonta, they told him we don't want you taking a tune-up fight. That's what Ryan says.
Oh, okay. That's new information.
Well, that's from what his side is saying.
Regardless, not having a fight in so long is an issue for me. So that's a red flag to me. So I'm going with Tank as well. I'm thinking I think it's going to be Ryan early. I think Ryan's going to sting him. I really do. I think the speed is going to be there. I think he's going to time him. I think he's going to sting him. But I think that Tank's going to recover, find his way. He's going to get to the body. Ryan's got that long torso. And Tank's a very good body puncher. And I believe underrated. He's very, very sneaky with those, especially that right hook he rips.
Yep.
And he works his way up and then gets the stoppage later.
There it is, folks. The biggest social media fight in the history of boxing. Someone's fan base is going to be really upset on the night of April 22nd. Can't wait for it. Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.